Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. This video today, gloomy outside here in Maine, just cloudy, no rain, but just cloudy. So, who knows? You know, I went down to, is it Petco? I think, yeah, Petco. And they had these strips of material that that you can put around things, so that way when cats are scratching, they'll scratch that and not the furniture. Okay, well, I bought this kind that has like a sticky one side, okay, because Smokey's been scratching the back of my chair that I'm sitting in here, and she's pulled a lot of the threading out of it, and it's coming apart. So I went down today and I bought some of that. It wasn't very much. It was just, big long sheet, probably about like, 3 feet long or something, not much, just enough. And brought it home, and I put it on. I peeled the backs off so that it's like a big sticker, and I put it on the thing. She sat and watched me do that, freaking Smokey, and when it was done, she looked at me like, what the hell did you just do to that? She did not look happy at all watching me put that on there. She knew what I was doing, okay? Because she's wrecked this goddamn chair here to the point where, it's falling apart in the back. And I said, that's it. I keep trying to tell her not to scratch it. Stop it, and she keeps doing it. Well, I had to go get that. I had to put that on there. I don't know how long that's going to last. I really don't. I mean, it's like I said, it's sticky. I don't know how sticky that is, or if she's, I'm sure after a while, she'll just keep working it until it comes apart. But even with a cat tower or a tree, whatever they call it, she scratches that. But that's not the only thing she'll scratch. I mean, that's just one of the things she'll scratch. But then she'll scratch the chair, the couch, the blankets, anything that's got wood on it. I mean, I got this thing over here that sits on, it's like a wooden brace I picked up at Walmart like last year, and it's got wheels on it. And I got this big cabinet sitting on it so I can move it around in the kitchen. When I'm mopping the floor or something, I can get underneath it. And she's clawed that because both ends of it have this carpeting on the side. So whenever you sit on it, it won't scratch the bottom. She's chewed that all off. She's clawed it and chewed it all off. And now she's even working on the goddamn wood itself, so you see big gouges in the wood where she's dug and dug and dug. I'm like, you can't win. You just can't fucking win, and I just, I don't know. I wake up every morning and I see little pieces of fabric on the floor. I got cardboard boxes for her to scratch. Yeah, she'll scratch them, but that ain't the only thing she'll scratch. It's not just like, if I got to scratch, I got to run to this box. No, whatever's closest, I'm going to scratch. And so not only is she digging up all the goddamn cardboard and got pieces of it everywhere, I mean, she chews on it, and, and I'm like, don't eat it. You crazy idiot. No, God, I mean, she just, I don't know. Other cats that I had, they were declawed. I didn't have them originally, the other cats, okay? This one I got, and, when it was just a little tiny kitten, okay? So I never had a cat from the very beginning, okay? I've always got cats that were somebody else's cat, and they let it go, and I ended up getting it. So the other cats, they were declawed, and I never had to put up with this shit. But this one here, no. And everybody says, don't declaw the cat, don't declaw. Well, Jesus Christ, come and see my fucking place. Jeez, she's tearing it all up. It's like a goddamn living with a coal miner. Christ, she's digging everything. The rug here, I mean, the landlord's going to have a fit whenever I move out of here, because she's already dug that all up. You know, might as well forget getting that security deposit back. They're going to have to replace that rug. Oh, Jesus. You know, and I even got pieces of carpeting on the walls and parts of the walls so she can climb up on that, you know, because she always wants to scratch the doors and stuff. So I put things there so she can scratch. You know, Jesus. It's worse than having a goddamn parakeet. You know, because parakeets, you know, parrots, they chew on wood all the time. They have to, you know. And it's like, you know, because if they didn't, their beaks would just grow and close, and they wouldn't be able to open their mouth. So they have to chew on wood to keep their beaks from, I don't know, it's a crazy animal. But, I mean, cats are kind of like that. They got to claw. They got to claw something all the fucking time. Claw, claw, claw. All right, so enough about that. I got a couple of videos here. This first one is from Raw News. And it's there. She'll be talking about how the consumers and the businesses are now being hit with the big tariffs that eventually will collapse the economy here in a short period of time. So let's watch that video here. We'll talk about that on the other side.
Welcome to the show. I have news to share about American consumers who are receiving just shocking tariff bills. And the economy is still seizing up, even though Trump caved and reduced his China tariffs. And they're not as low as we think they are. So I'm going to get into all of that, all these details. But before I do, please do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button below this video. It's free for you. It helps the show more than you know. I really appreciate it. I also really, truly appreciate everyone who helps out with donations for the show, whether on or off of YouTube. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So more bad news to share about Donald Trump's failing economy and the stock market. The stock market is, again, dropping. Stock futures were down on Sunday evening because of the fact that Moody's Analytics downgraded the United States credit rating. That continued into this morning. So as some of you may have heard, Moody's dropped the U.S. from a AAA rating to an AA1 rating. So to be fair, this isn't just because of Trump alone. I mean, in his first 4 years in office, he did massively increase the deficit more than Obama did, even over an 8-year period. And remember, Obama had to throw a bunch of money at the problem of the 2008 crisis. So, you know, for him to outdo Obama's 8 years in just 4 was quite a feat. But the debt, to be fair, as I said, has been increasing in every administration. So Moody's cited the amount of debt. They also cited the size of the interest payments, and they said they expect an increase in the U.S. debt over the next 10 years, which we're seeing, right? I mean, the Republicans, as I speak, are working on passing Trump's big, beautiful bill, which is going to just skyrocket the national debt. So none of this is good news. And Trump and his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, are threatening to increase tariffs again. They're threatening to increase them even more. So that will undoubtedly spook the market as well. So consumer sentiment fell for the 5th month in a row. I heard somewhere that it was like the second lowest ever on record. And this is the according to University of Michigan, this is the 5th decrease in, fifth consecutive month where it has fallen. It was 52.2% in April, and it dropped to 50.8% in May. So Americans are feeling less and less confident in the U.S. economy, and for good reason. The Washington Post went out and they were speaking with consumers who were getting hit with steep tariff fees. So a Texas man named Ben, He purchased a $183 item because some of the materials are made, or yeah, some of the materials for this, like the whole product isn't from China, but some of the materials that went into the product are made in China. So Ben got charged an additional $137.42 to cover the tariff. And people are posting videos of stuff like this online, of these huge unexpected tariff bills. So one woman posted that she was hit with a $1,700 tariff fee when she ordered clothing from Australia. So she was like, I don't need it that bad. So she sent it back. Another woman, her name is Samantha, she was going to be charged $213 of a tariff fee on top of a $134 purchase for 2 shirts. So $134 purchase, and she gets hit with $213 just to ship it. Unreal. And then Walmart, I'm sure you guys have all heard this, they just announced they're going to be raising prices soon to cover the tariff costs. Trump is not happy. He wants this, in the dark where people don't see it, and, nobody is aware of all the carnage that he's caused. And so in a social media post, this was on his failing social media site, he said Walmart and these other companies should just eat the costs. They should just eat the tariffs. I mean, consumers have already started scaling back even before a lot of these price hikes have hit. But it had been increasing. Like people were out buying in anticipation of Trump's tariffs. So in March, we saw 1.7% increase in purchases and consumer spending. But in April, after the tariffs hit, that fell to 0.1%. So, everybody rushed out. They made these purchases prior to Trump's so-called Liberation Day. And now everybody seems to be waiting for the dust to settle. I would imagine spending for May is either going to be the same or worse than April. And as I've been sharing with you guys, small businesses are bearing the brunt of all of this, of Trump's tariff fiasco. So a man named Bobby, I think it's pronounced Javaheri, anyway. He owns I apologize to him for mispronouncing it, but anyway, he owns a small appliance business. They import 100% of their products from China. Prior to Trump's tariffs, he said that he would have paid a couple $100 in shipment costs. Now, 2 weeks ago, Javaheri, or however you pronounce it, he received orders with a $9,000 tariff, and the other order was a $21,000 tariff fee. That's on top of the price of his products. So that was when the tariffs were 145%. But even at a rate of 30%, Javaheri told CBS News, it's still not cheap. And he said, quote, people need to understand that when you have a very low margin business, it makes it almost impossible to do business. So sadly, this man says he doesn't think he's going to make any profit this year. He's hoping to just stay in business. He's hoping to just keep his head above water so that he's not out of business before the end of this year. And then the Wall Street Journal went out. They spoke with small business owners as well. They heard similar situations, similar dire circumstances. So one of these people is a man named Scott Anderson. He said he's almost out of inventory because he hasn't ordered any because of the tariff fees. And he said he had to let go of 7 employees already just this year. So not even a full 5 months into the year, he's had to say goodbye to 7 employees. And he told the Journal, quote, nobody in power seems to care about small business. At this point, the only option I see is selling out the rest of what we have and shutting our doors. So tell me again how Donald Trump's making America great. Another company, this is owned by a man named Joe Bissonette, he lost one employee this year, and he had to cut his production of his products in half. Bissonette said that he was hoping to self-fund his business, but now he's looking for investors. And a company that makes watches and other related products, they received an $8,752 tariff fee tacked onto an order for only $5,649 in merchandise. So these tariff fees are more than doubling the cost of these products for them. One of the owners told the Journal, quote, "I wanted to throw up. An item that would have cost me $4 2 months ago, now it costs me $7.92. Our margins have evaporated and gone into the negative." Alfred Mai is the co-owner of a company called ASM Games, and he said that he has had to now use his company's credit line. He's also liquidated his personal bonds and money market accounts just to cover tariff fees for a holiday order that he has to place in the coming weeks. Because if they don't place it now, they won't have the products in time because of manufacturing time and then the shipping time. So Mai said, quote, "I am essentially paralyzed. Do I pay the tariffs to get inventory in, or do I run out of inventory?" This is what small businesses are facing. They don't know what to do, and they're going to be going out of business left and right. Bloomberg News also went out and spoke with struggling business owners, and they, again, heard similar stories from small and mid-sized companies. So a guy named Dan Turner, he sells hydraulics, and after Trump reduced the Chinese tariffs, he said, quote, "I thought I was going to lose an arm and a leg, and today I found out I am only losing 2 fingers." So instead of $80,000 in tariff fees, he is now paying $30,000. Still huge. Mountain racing products, they have also been hit hard because of not just the blanket tariffs, but because of the 25% aluminum and steel tariffs on top of the 10% import duties from Taiwan. And the owner told Bloomberg, quote, "We have only let go of 5 people in the history of the company tied to changing economic times. 3 of those have happened in the past few months. It is definitely one of the most challenging times I have seen in this business in the last 30 years." He also took out a line of credit, and he also had to cut the pay for his managers. And here's the thing. According to CNBC, because of the multiple tariffs that are still in place, it's kind of obfuscating. It's kind of hiding how much the tariffs actually are. Chinese tariffs, they're saying, actually range between 40 and 70%, not the 30% everyone's talking about. So here's how they explained it. Quote, "The layering of existing 17.6% tariffs and Section 301 tariffs related to unfair trade practices of 25%, with the 30% in tariffs on Chinese goods not included in the pause, 20% fentanyl related tariffs, and 10% reciprocal tariffs." And they gave some examples. So they said women's bathing suits from China face a tariff of 54.9%. Here's how they break this down: 24.9% for most favored nation, plus fentanyl and reciprocal tariffs. So Trump has effectively imposed the largest tax hike in America in decades. Since, the whole Smoot-Hawley thing, since the Great Depression, since that era. And for what? I mean, according to a Morning Consult poll, the only thing that Trump has achieved is to make China more powerful and more popular. So for those on the podcast, they titled their related article, Make China Great Again, How U.S. Retrenchment Benefits Beijing. So we are just helping to make China better. So in this article, Morning Consult wrote, quote, per our daily data tracking public favorability toward China and the United States in 41 countries, China's global standing has now eclipsed that of the United States. Beijing's leg up over Washington, which began in early March, is largely attributable to America's plummeting reputation over 2025, which has seen global favorability of the United States fall far faster than fervor for China has risen. So only 13 countries are now saying that they favor and agree with the United States over China. That's according to their polling data. So that is the only thing we've achieved. We've achieved taxes, unbelievably high taxes on American consumers, and we have made China more popular in the world. Like, people see them now as the superpower, as the ones that can be counted on, and the ones that are more stable. A communist country that is literally killing people, that is literally snatching people off the streets and throwing them in these prison camps, the Uyghurs, because of their religion, most never to be seen or heard from again. So that's who we're now lower in the eyes of the world, of the globe, of every country on the globe. You know, out of every country, only 13 go, yeah, I think US. They're doing it right. They're doing a good job. I didn't look at all the details of this report, but I guarantee you it's probably other nations that we would want nothing to do with, or Trump wants something to do with them, but most people would not. So in less than 5 months in office, Donald Trump has destroyed the economy of the US, and he has destroyed our standing in the world. It's unreal. It is absolutely unreal that he could do this much damage in this short a period of time. I mean, if anybody could do it, it would be Donald Trump, because he's that much of a screw up. He's that much of a failure. I mean, this is a guy who bankrupted and destroyed a casino when the house always wins. So there you go. What else would you expect? Anyway, thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Please.
You know, she is very correct about one thing. The one thing you never hear the media talk much about whenever we talk, or whenever the conversation has to center around economy, is small businesses. We don't analyze what's happening with them, okay? Because I think that when small businesses are suffering, that's a sign that things aren't going very well. Because if people can't afford to buy, you know, on the small business level, I don't see how the bigger companies with higher prices are going to fare any better. Because, you know, people are holding back their money, whatever they got, to where, you know, to outlast the bad times. And so you don't hear much about that. Now, here in my state here, Bangor, downtown Bangor, under Biden, really kind of boomed. Because that was, downtown Bangor is like very, it looks retro, big time, okay, when you go down in there. And for a long time, there weren't really many businesses down there. At a time when it was new, there were all kinds. My grandmother would tell me stories about downtown Bangor. That place was like an outside mall. I mean, there was stores everywhere in downtown Bangor. Then we went through the 80s and 90s where there was nothing in that town. It all went into the mall and everything like that, big box stores and everything. Okay, that all left downtown Bangor. Then it started to boom as the mall started to diminish, okay, and businesses around on the other side of Bangor started to close up a little bit. Downtown Bangor suddenly saw a lot of small business activity, okay, and it revitalized downtown Bangor, so much so that the city, the council, decided to invest in downtown Bangor's riverfront. Then they built that great big, what do they call that, where they had concerts and stuff outside. And then they built a brand new civic center. Okay, they tore down the old one, they built a brand new one, even bigger than the old one. And they put up a casino there with a huge fucking hotel. I mean, great big, a lot of money sunk into that thing, okay, into that area. And it's really got more energized under the Biden administration, okay? And now, with everything happening, especially, you know, now with one side of Bangor dying off, or it was very healthy, and the dying off area is now revitalized. Now that area is gonna probably diminish again because of what Trump has done. Okay, you're gonna see that area, probably a lot of small businesses there are gonna have no choice but to shut their doors, because it's gonna be people aren't gonna buy, you know. And the concerts that they were bringing here, who's going to go to those things now? Because you know how expensive tickets are to go to them fucking things, right? Okay, I'm not a concert goer, never was, but for people who do go, and there's a lot around here that do, they may not want to spend money to do it, okay? And at the Civic Center and the casino, okay, I don't know what's going to happen to that, honestly. I really don't. You know, the casino has been there for, Christ, has it been almost 20 years? No, it can't be. See, I don't know. It's been there a while, quite a while. But it brought in the money that this town needed in order to build, you know, the casino and everything else, and really energize the area. But now, with Trump's tariffs and what's going to happen to, you know, people getting laid off and all that stuff and losing their jobs, I mean, Jesus Christ. You know, it's going to affect everything on such a broad scale. All right. And we talk about the big companies, you know, Walmart, Target, you know, the car companies and stuff like that. But we don't really focus on what's happening on the smaller level, which will diminish first before the others, you know, the bigger companies will. And people on the small businesses, if you look around online, you'll find some stories, and it's not good. There's not much hope for people with businesses. They're hoping they can just make it through the year, but you know, it's not really feasible for them to stay open. I mean, a lot of them have had to cut their workforce practically to zero, but they're just running their stores at a loss. And how long do you think they're going to be able to do that? You know, it'd be better just to shut down altogether. Just shut it down, you know, and just, you know, hope the economy gets better, because the tariffs are killing them. And the fact that Trump is sitting here telling Walmart, "You eat the goddamn tariffs," okay? Walmart's saying, "Go to hell, Trump," okay? They don't have to listen to you. If you try to buck them, they'll just pull the company out of the United States and go somewhere else. They don't give a fuck. I mean, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company, for Christ's sake. You think they give a shit about you sitting there telling them you need to pay the What an asshole. Okay? What a fucking asshole. You know, it's just, you know, it's laughable to think that Trump feels that he's so important that he can bully Target and Walmart corporations, you know, and tell them they gotta focus, you know, you guys made a whole bunch of money last year, now you can pay it. Too late, Trump, too fucking late. People like you have created this monster, and now you know, it's gonna blow up in your face. You created this tariff system. You told people it was going to make America great again. That's not going to happen. People are losing their jobs every fucking day. It's getting worse out there. Prices have gone up through this fucking ceiling. America's not going to get great from that. Okay? It's not. It's the wrong fucking way to do things. You know, and I'm thinking, you know, if I had a business and I had and I appointed a guy to run that business for me, okay, because I'm so wealthy I could do that, and that son of a bitch was wrecking the business, I'd have that son of a bitch thrown out on the fucking street fast as you could say shit. Okay, why this country? I mean, Trump wants to run America like a business. Okay, let's run it like a business. Trump is fucking up the whole goddamn business. Get him the hell out of there and put somebody else in there. You know, have an emergency election, or, you know, or something like that. Say he's incompetent. He can't run. Just like what they were trying to do to Musk. Remember Tesla? They were all sitting there saying we need to find another person to run the company because he's wrecking it, you know. Same thing. Trump wants to run America like a business, then we ought to treat him like the CEO of that business. We're all into this business together. Let's get rid of him. Say, look, I'm sorry. In 4 months, you've wrecked what we had going good here, and you've wrecked it. You ruined it. You're a terrible CEO. Get out of here. Hit the fucking bricks. Okay? It's time for somebody else to take over. You know? Really. Trump says, I'm going to run the country like a business. Well, okay, that's what businesses do. When you got a CEO that is incompetent and bankrupting the fucking company, you get rid of that son of a bitch because the stockholders are all, you know, losing their fucking ass. And we are the stockholders. Everybody that's walking around with cash, okay, of this goddamn economy, we are stockholders. We are losing our fucking money because of him. So that's the way we got to deal with this. If you want to run America like a fucking business, then give us the power of a business so we can remove people who don't do the job right. Okay, fuck this 4-year cycle. Okay, when a president's in office and he fucks up the economy in less than 100 days, we take an emergency vote and we get rid of his ass. Replace him with somebody else. Does that make sense to you? Because I certainly think that, hey, that's a good exercise of a democracy. If you want a democracy, the people have a right to vote. Okay? How else can we get our voices heard if we're not on top of the game, you know, all the time? When these people screw up, get rid of them. And Trump has screwed up so goddamn bad. We're going to be sinking quicker than Tesla. Okay? That's the thing. Is we have a right as Americans to decide when it's time to get rid of the president. If he's screwing up, it's time to have a fucking emergency vote. And by Jesus, we have an internet. We can use the internet to create an emergency vote online. Okay, we don't need to ask the states to come up with money to put together a fucking election. We don't need to do that. We can do that quickly online. And the tallies and all the fucking numbers would get back to the White House, you know, right then and there. Everybody votes. So even if you're at work, you can vote. You got your fucking iPhone, you can tap in your ballot. Okay? You know what I'm saying? We can be more on top of the fucking government this way. And I think that, you know, we have a right to have our opinions heard here. And our opinion says it's time for Trump to go. If the election between him and Kamala were to happen today, she would win by a fucking landslide. And I think everybody would believe that if I said, you know, that she would. Okay? Because right now, Trump's approval numbers are like in the high 30s right now. It's only going to get worse from here because nothing's looking better, right? The less people are able to buy, the more anger builds, the more resentment builds, and who are they going to point the finger at? The son of a bitch sitting in the White House. He's the one in charge. And it's because of his tariffs that we are where we are. We told people don't go for that. Economists all around the world were telling Trump and telling Americans that's not a good thing for him to do. It's going to ruin whatever accomplishments Biden made while he was president. Okay? It's going to put a fucking deadlock on anything. GDP-wise. Okay, we're not going to be able to do a thing. And it will take years to undo the shit that he's done in 100 days. I don't think people are going to be willing to want to wait years to see a better time. And the longer we wait, the longer it's going to take to recover. So, that's why I say, if we're going to run this country like a business, like so many politicians seem to want to do, then we ought to have the ability to vote these people out when times are bad. When times are not going as well as we want them to go because the person in the White House is not doing the job, out. Replace them with somebody else. We can go through vice presidents till the cows come home, but we're going to find somebody that's going to get it done right. Maybe that'll give them an incentive to do better, knowing that, hey, you're not going to get 4 years guaranteed, okay? They can vote you out anytime they want if they're not happy with you, so that means you're going to have to do a good job, okay? So I think that's what people ought to think about. But at this point, yes, Trump should go. He's had his time. He hasn't brought in anything. He hasn't delivered on a fucking thing he promised. He's only in there for himself and to raise those fucking, to keep that tax cut that he started in 17, 18, whatever, 2017. Okay, he wants to renew that. By the time that comes around to be renewed, you know, he's going to have hurt the rich in this country considerably with what he's doing today. All right? So those tax cuts are only going to make them break even, if that. It's not going to help them at all. They're still going to lose considerably, you know, in big numbers here, by the way. But the tax cuts will be meaningless. Of course, it'll hurt us, you know, and it will certainly impact our deficit considerably. And when you got our rating being reduced to a AA1, okay, and Trump makes jokes about it. He said, what? Oh, I love AA1. It goes great on a steak. Tremendous steaks, by the way. They tell me nobody does steak like you. AA1 is a beautiful thing, like nothing you've tasted in the history of our country. That was his reaction to being told that, oh yeah, our rating's been diminished here to AA1. He makes a joke out of it. Or maybe he really thought he was talking about steak sauce. I don't know. Either way, his brain is not in the game, people. If he's playing chess, he's playing it with his eyes closed because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. All right? This four-dimensional chess thing that MAGA's been throwing around, making it sound like, oh, he's a fucking genius. They're eating their words right now, people. Christ. You know, they can't say anything good about him now. You don't really hear MAGA at all. What you hear a lot of is former MAGA coming out making TikTok videos saying how much they regret that they voted for Trump and how much they've suffered since they voted for Trump. Okay, that's what you're hearing more of now than MAGA boasting Trump's going to make things great. Ain't happening. I think it's obvious now, even to MAGA, that they fucked up and fucked up big now. So, even though that's fills me with a little glee to see that they're eating their words, the problem that takes the glee out of it is that all of us who didn't vote for him are going to suffer along with the jackasses. Okay? Like I said, this is ridiculous. And people always end up having to learn things the fucking hard way. And we ought to know better than that. Christ almighty. You know? People have to learn through life. We had 4 years with Trump before. We didn't learn, it didn't seem like we learned anything from that 4 years to stay away from this man. No. We had the perfect overqualified person to run for president. And because she was black and a woman, they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't have it. No fucking way. We're going to vote for the idiot bigot that'll destroy our economy before we'll ever see a black female as president in this country. Hatred has a big fucking price tag on it, doesn't it? Think about that. It's going to cost us dearly for our racism and misogyny. It's going to cost us considerably. But some people in MAGA are still out there going, buy American, buy American. It's like, well, MAGA, show me a factory in the United States that's making anything. Okay, show me something. Well, you might find a little factory making hats for Trump or something, you know, whatever that says made in the USA. But how much is that hat compared to a hat made from China that's here on the shelf? What do you think people are going to reach for in times like these? The very expensive American-made hat, or the hat made from, you name the country, that's like half the price? You can't force people to spend more than they can afford, okay? That's like asking Walmart to pay the tariffs that Trump is putting on everybody here that we have to pay. Ain't gonna happen. It's a fantasy to think that corporate America was gonna pay these tariffs. No, that always gets put on us. We're gonna pay the tariffs for them, you know? But you see, those companies are still gonna suffer anyway, because when people go to buy something simple and it costs them twice as much as it did, you know, before, they're going to just turn around and walk away. So in the end, the store is still going to lose out no matter what. Whether they pay the tariffs or not, they're still going to lose out anyway. So not only is this going to hurt small business, like I said, I mean, and we don't hear about it, but it will affect the bigger businesses too, okay? And I really think that, you know, there really is no out as far as I can see, unless Trump all of a sudden gets an exorcism and they release the demon that's in his head. Okay, the only way we're ever going to get out of this is by Trump undoing everything he's done since he started, you know, his second tour in the White House. Okay, he's going to have to totally reverse everything back to where it was when Biden had left. And he won't do that because, you know, his ego. He's not going to admit that he was wrong and Biden was right. Okay, he's not going to do that. He would rather watch this country burn to the ground before he admit it, or maybe even then he won't admit it, but he'll watch the country burn to the ground, okay, and keep his mouth shut that he was wrong. Okay, that's what he'll do. And so are we going to sit here and let the country burn to the ground and then look to him to expect him to say, I was wrong? You're not going to see it. It's not going to happen. So why wait? Let's get out there now and push the goddamn envelope to get him out of office. By any means necessary. Jesus. We're talking about saving a goddamn nation here. Not just saving the neighbor next door, you know, or stopping somebody from driving drunk on the road. I'm talking about saving the lives of 350 million Americans here. What bigger goddamn incentive do we need to get this fucking skunk out of the White House? Okay? He's insane. His own family knows it. Christ. You ever watch his niece's videos on YouTube? She's got it laid out. She knows what's wrong with him. Jesus, she's a therapist herself. I mean, she knows, she's a psychology. So, Jesus, people. Let's stop riding with Captain Bligh here. You know, and get rid of this bastard before it's too damn late. I mean, it's almost too late now, but let's try and do something. So that way the time to restore the country won't be as long. I mean, our image is already damaged. I don't know what any country that's ever going to fucking trust us ever again. I don't know. Let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
really hard time getting accurate news about Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. I often look to a current sitting president and their press conferences in order to get information. But according to Donald Trump, Joe Biden has stage 27 cancer and then proceeded to rant and ramble about his own personal cognitive abilities and how he aces all the exams. Which leads me to believe, is Mattel a country isn't one of the questions asked on those tests. And apparently, the rotten apple doesn't fall far from the stupid tree, because Don Jr. went on to tweet, "How could Dr. Jill Biden not know what was going on?" Ah, yes, the United States of America, where you receive a doctorate in education and automatically become a doctor of oncology. Now, one of my favorite parts about the press conference is when Donald Trump was talking about the prostate cancer diagnosis of Joe Biden. He went on to say that there is a test that all men get, and he became visibly uncomfortable. And you know what? Maybe his cognitive ability isn't as bad as we all think. I am genuinely proud of him for stopping himself from saying finger in the butt. Remember, y'all, humor is my defense mechanism. Now, me personally, I'm saddened to hear about Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. I don't think there's a person out there that was never affected by or knew someone who suffered from cancer. And to be honest, I don't know why the right is making such a big deal about Joe Biden's ability to have been president while he had cancer. I don't know if a lot of you understand the responsibilities of a president, but being an American gladiator isn't a part of that. FDR, one of the greatest presidents in our history, was in a wheelchair. And even though we were at war during that time, we weren't expecting him to strap up for battle. The most important thing about a president is their cognitive ability. There are many, many Americans that work while having cancer. So whether or not he had it while he was president, for me personally, is irrelevant. And let us not forget, he stepped down. He didn't run for re-election. We should be worrying about our current sitting president and his, noggin. But on a serious note, all men of a certain age should go get their prostates checked. And that includes Donald Trump. Don't let your fear of the slightly uncomfortable exam get in the way. Right, Donald? If you truly are that nervous, just look for a doctor that has equally tiny hands as you do. Again, humor, a defense mechanism. Anyways, bye!
So, I admit, I regret my vote for Donald Trump. I regret it because I needed these changes sooner. I needed the prices to go down sooner, so that I didn't drain out my bank accounts and go into crippling credit card debt, so that when I had an emergency, I had money set aside. So when my son's glasses break, I could actually get him new ones. I can't do any of that right now. My car broke down, and so I'm in a friend's car just to work, to continue living paycheck to paycheck. I knew it was going to be hard, and that it wasn't going to come fast. I just wish that things would work out better. I really regret that everything is taking so long, because there's so much pushback, because I don't even know the reasons anymore. I don't understand why good things have to be trampled on. I don't know why good people have to be trampled on. I don't want a lot. I just want to be comfortable. I just want to not live paycheck to paycheck. I just want to be able to live and work. I work 7 days a week to not even make ends meet sometimes, and my car broke down, and I have...
Never mix salt with these 2 ingredients if you don't want your hose to be rock hard tonight. Every time you see an older man with a young woman, you can bet he's using the salt trick. In fact, I've been left unable to walk for more than 4 days because of it. This talk about women only wanting money is just an excuse from guys who can't perform in bed. What women really care about is whether a man can heat things up in the bedroom and keep everything working. Having worked in the adult industry for many years, I discovered this after watching a video by Emily, a friend and former adult film star. In the video, Emily reveals that every man has a little hidden button on his body. When activated, it can make even 80-year-old men stand tall and be ready to handle any young woman for 2 straight hours. Dr. Jack Jordan scientifically proved this, and the method works so well that it makes your body stay rock solid whenever you want. All you need is the salt recipe in the morning with a bit of warm water. It takes less than 15 seconds. Fun fact, this recipe was banned for over 40 years because it threatened the sales of the famous little blue pill in pharmacies. After the video about salt featuring the ex-actress went viral, I can now share it here. Just click the link in the description or the pinned comment to access everything you need to make this recipe. Watch the video alone because it includes some very steamy practical demonstrations. Jack shows exactly how to do it and the results it delivers instantly. Everything you can imagine happens right in front of the cameras with nothing censored. So grab your headphones, click the link below, and get ready for content so hot it might even make you want to join in yourself.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Just looking up here, this story that came out about half an hour ago. Ford recalling 280,000 vehicles. This is in USA Today. What is it? Let's see. Broncos among some of those F-150s, Broncos. Ford and Lincoln vehicles they're recalling. I guess it's something, I'm trying to find what it is they recall. Oh, faulty brake lines. That's nice. Leaking brake lines. These vehicles have leaking brake lines. The front brake lines in the recalled vehicles may contact the engine air cleaner outlet pipe and become damaged. So it's a design flaw. So that can't be good, especially for the automobile industry that's suffering here because of Trump's bullshit. That many cars, Christ, I mean, that's a lot. And loose fasteners for the F-150s, they said they have loose fasteners that may result in a loss of steering control. Jesus Christ. I don't know. Oh God. These things couldn't be happening at a worse time for the automobile, for Ford at least, and GM. These kind of things. All right, so this other video I have is from Kyle Kulinski, and he's talking about how the tariff hikes are here now. And so let's go to that, and then we'll discuss that on the other side.
All right, y'all, it looks like the tariff price hikes are beginning to hit. So let me walk you through it here. Target worker exposes massive tariff price hike for popular items. Quote, kinda scared. For months, big retailers have been warning that prices will rise. Now, thanks to insider information from Target workers, the extent of the raises are becoming apparent. Staff say it is just the beginning. So a $9.99 USB-C cord from the store's in-house Heyday brand is now ringing up at $17.99, bro. Damn, they nearly doubled the price. Wow. Quote, it's happening, the worker wrote, sharing a photo of the price tag update. All Heyday is going up. The spike, a 56% increase, is being blamed on the latest wave of tariffs linked to former President Donald Trump's trade policies. Target's price rises come after Walmart on Thursday confirmed that it is raising prices this month as a direct result of the tariffs. The Trump administration framed tariffs as a way to boost a sleepy domestic manufacturing industry by making foreign goods more expensive. It is a shift from the traditional use of tariffs to protect already growing industries. The goal in 2025 is to kickstart sectors that have seen little recent investment. But for goods that rely on global supply chains like electronics sold at Target, the effects are already showing up on store shelves. So here's the picture, y'all. Goes from $9.99 to $17.99 right in front of our eyes. Now, by the way, of course, you don't even need me to point this out, but I will point it out for you. The idea that these tariffs, they're going to boost American manufacturing. Really? Really? Show me. Show me the number. Show me the burgeoning factories blowing up across this country. At breakneck speed, they're putting up thousands of new factories to manufacture this stuff. It's not happening. It's not happening, and it's not going to happen. Because if you were actually serious about revitalizing American manufacturing, you would have to do what's called industrial policy. Subsidize the things you want to have a domestic industry and make them successful. Subsidize those things here. That's what Biden did with the CHIPS Act, trying to bring back chip manufacturing here. That's what he did, right? So are there certain things you should, subsidize and try to create the jobs here? Absolutely. I love the idea of doing it with the microchips, for example. High-tech manufacturing, I think that's a great idea. But so many of the things we don't make here, we can't make here, and there is no investment to do it here. And so by doing the tariffs, all you're doing is effectively raising taxes on the bottom 95% of Americans. That's all you're doing. They say the court is another example of consumers taking social media to criticize price increase, taking to social media to criticize price increases. Shoppers have already seen costs balloon at popular stores, including Shein, Temu, and Amazon. Yeah, and let's be serious. These are like the stores where everybody buys everything now, right? Like these places, the amount of traffic Shein, Temu, and Amazon get, I'm sure it's colossal. So far, the increases haven't made a major dent in national inflation data, but April's rate moderately ticked up, but some executives have warned that consumers will start to feel the impact more broadly in the months ahead. Best Buy and Walmart CEO have both warned about higher prices. GM and Ford executives both said the tariffs will cut billions out of their company's profits. Target has also been transparent about the consumer pricing implications of Trump's trade war for months. The company CEO, Brian Cornell, started warning customers during a March earnings call when the U.S. was staring down potential 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian products. At the time, he warned that everyday grocery items that frequently cross borders before making their way to Target's aisles, like strawberries, avocados, bananas, and coffee beans, were set to increase. If there's a 25% tariff, those prices will go up, he said. President Trump has since walked back those tariffs and replaced them with smaller 10% import taxes. But other major importing countries continue to face 10% tariffs from the U.S. In April, the country started collecting the tax on all imported goods. Now companies are trying to find a way to protect their profits while also maintaining their store inventories. Those pressures are making American consumers clutch their wallets as they anticipate even higher costs. I'm kind of scared to do back to school shopping in July and August, one shopper said on the Reddit post. So this is what's actually happening. The prices are actually starting to go up. Walmart's saying, hey, during the summer, the prices are going to go up. We now see direct evidence of it in certain instances with the prices going up. Massive increases in prices, by the way. So what does Trump do? Trump comes out. He sees what the CEO of Walmart said. He comes out and says the following. Ready? Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as I said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. You told me that it was China that was going to pay the tariffs. It was the countries where the goods come from that they pay the tariffs. That's what you told. You said that for months and months and months on the campaign trail, after the campaign trail. No, the customer doesn't pay the tariff. The tariffs are paid by the country that sends in the stuff. That's what happens. It's the country that pays. You don't pay more. They pay more. So now you casually admit, okay, yeah, the country's not paying the tariff. China's not paying the tariff. What are we talking about? That's not going to happen. But now you're saying Walmart needs to, quote, eat the tariffs. But hold on. You do realize the whole fucking point of a tariff is to raise the price of that good. You can't be surprised when water is wet. The whole point of a tariff is to raise the price of that good. This is not a question. This is not up in the air. There are not different theories of this shit. That's just what it is. Because again, tariffs will raise prices of the foreign good coming into this country. And the idea in theory is, let's invest in U.S. manufacturing and get products that compete with the foreign good, hopefully higher quality and at a lower price, because the tariff will make it more expensive. So now the tariffs do what tariffs do. You're like, that's not fair. That needs to stop. So the country doesn't pay it, which you said it did. It doesn't. And now you're telling Walmart to eat it. But again, the whole point of the tariff is to raise prices. Like, what are you talking about? And I got really triggered because I saw a lot of people comparing what Trump said here to like, this is something Bernie Sanders would say. No, Bernie wouldn't say this because he's not a fucking idiot. Bernie Sanders understands if I'm doing tariffs, the point of the tariffs is to raise the prices on the foreign goods. And the difference is Bernie would actually have a domestic manufacturing policy, industrial policy, which would create goods here and would revitalize American manufacturing. Trump is too fucking stupid and incompetent to understand what's happening, or he gets it and doesn't care, because the real situation is he wants everybody to come petition the king. Come petition the king to get an exemption, give me a flat rate or give me a certain percentage on it, and then I'll be good. He's governing like a mafia don. That's what he's doing. So what? Just a totally economically illiterate, dumbass thing to say. It's just so stupid. And only Trump could, I mean, how many times has he contradicted himself on this exact issue? China pays it, the country pays it, no, the company should pay it. Like, can you fucking for once in your life be consistent and say something and stick by it? But he can't. He doesn't have it in him. Because he's a total fucking bullshit artist. He's full of shit. Like I said, he's like a mafia boss, and he's going to run this country into the fucking ground. And look, you think things are bad now. He has a 39% approval rating right now. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. As these prices continue to go up, people can't fucking afford it. They can't afford it. And so there will be a revolt against this bullshit. And there's no saving his ass at that point. Hey, y'all, do me a
Yeah, so once these prices go up, they never come down. I think that's been a fact of life in this country here. And, you know, if they try to help people, like say Trump's out of the office and we got a new president, if they try to compensate that by increasing wages, who do you think is going to oppose that? Okay? You see what I'm saying? It's going to be the same fight that we have in every fucking presidency when we have a Democrat as a president and they try to increase wages. The other side will always fight against it. Okay? And in this case, I don't see that they'd be able to win that fight, especially when you have such a gap between what people earn and what people can afford. It's wider now than it's ever been before in American history. Okay, anybody who tries to take a stand and say, oh, people shouldn't get paid more, okay, they're out of their fucking minds. Look, I did some number crunching here a little bit today, and I found that in 1964, a house that was worth $17,500, okay, today would be considered to be $250,000 in value. $250,000. Now, I know what you're going to say. Well, wages were smaller back then. Okay, sure, they were. But you know, it was possible to be able, for a person, to be able to buy a home in 1964. It's not so possible for a person making what they're making today to get a $250,000 home. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean about the separation between what people earn and what people can afford. It's gotten wider because the wages have not kept up with the inflation in this country over the years. So those prices have gotten beyond most people's reach. For a house that was worth $17,500, okay, the house would be, you know, it'd be modest, okay, certainly not worth $250,000. I don't think, unless it's sitting on enough fucking land you could build a goddamn casino on. I mean, it's ridiculous that prices have gotten so far like that. But that's where we are. That's where we are. So even if you're living in a house that's old, you know, that, you know, you've kept up, you know, and try to keep it working since 1964, the house is still going to be worth a lot, and still going to be sort of out of the ability of most people working minimum wage to be able to afford, because the payments on it would be astronomical. I mean, you might be cheaper to get a fucking apartment, you know. But that's the housing market, you know, and how things are just not going to move in this country during this period. Okay, everything is going to grind to a fucking halt. We're in a recession. I know we are right now, okay? We're not going to see any GDP growth or any activity in this country for a long time, because nobody can buy. Everybody is just sitting on what money they have. And for the retirees out there, they're going to burn through their retirements quicker than before, because the price of goods and supplies are going to go up, okay? And that's unfortunate, because, you know, these people, they've got a fixed income, and Jesus Christ, I mean, what do you expect these people to do? Going to start buying cat food again to get through the, you know, Jesus. I feel like, you know, so much is being forgotten here as Trump does what he's doing. And, you know, we can expect it from Trump, but those people around him, okay, are they equally dumb? They have to be, right, if they're not saying anything. But I would think that at least one person in his fucking administration has enough common sense to realize that what Trump is doing is not helping, it's hurting this country. So why are they not saying anything to him? You know, why are they just going along their merrily way here, following where he's leading them to, you know, off a cliff? I mean, I just don't understand why there's so much silence, okay? It makes you wonder, I mean, are they all in on the fucking thing together? Everybody? Including those Democrats that won't speak out? Because frankly, we're only hearing 3 or 4 Democrats out of the bunch over in Washington, D.C. that's actually coming out saying anything, but everybody else is like, don't talk to me, I don't want to hear, you know, I'm too busy. You know, very depressing when you think about that, you know, we don't seem to have the balls where we need it. Because if this was a business, by Jesus, the people involved in that business would have balls enough to get rid of the goddamn CEO, wrecking everything. These people don't stay quiet. Look how quickly Tesla, the board, already looking for somebody else. I mean, they're not going to sit there and just wait and let, you know, Musk try to wreck everything, even though he probably did anyway. But I'm just saying, they jumped on it. Okay. So if we can take an example from how Tesla was responding to Musk, we need to do the same. We need to jump on this fucking guy right off. He's no good. He's bad business. Okay? And we should have known that, because he's bankrupted every fucking business he ever had as a private citizen. Okay? He doesn't know how to run anything. He's incompetent. And at 79 years old, even more so. Okay? Because we know mentally he's not there. Jesus. All right, you know, I found this article here. Trump attack dog turned U.S. prosecutor Alina Habba charges Democratic congresswoman with assault after clash with masked agents at an ICE facility. Federal prosecutors have criminally charged a Democratic member of Congress who was caught up in a scrum with masked federal agents and protesters outside an immigration detention center in New Jersey. Alina Habba, Donald Trump's personal attorney, who was appointed to interim U.S. Attorney of New Jersey, announced on Monday, that's yesterday, that her office filed charges against Democratic Representative LaMonica McIver for having, quote, assaulted, impeded, and interfered, unquote, with law enforcement. Criminal charges against a sitting member of Congress escalate threats from the Trump administration under an emboldened Justice Department to target his political enemies. Last week, Democrat House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries called federal law enforcement agencies targeting members of Congress a quote-unquote red line. Quote, yeah. Feels kind of fascist, doesn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, now he's going after anybody that's, okay, which isn't new. He's been doing that with certain people, journalists, okay? He's been going after colleges, stuff like threatening them, anybody that's protesting, anybody. He's been attacking all kinds of people using ICE. So that's become his personal avenging angels, essentially. They're not, the ICE agents aren't doing ICE work. What they're doing is revenge work for Trump. That means they're working outside the mandate of what they were designed for. Okay, they're supposed to be rounding up illegals. Now he's having them go out and attack people who oppose him. That's what he's doing. So ICE is no longer ICE. We can forget calling them that. You can call them anything else you want, or red shirts, or or the brown shirts, whatever. Okay, you can call them whatever you want, but they are not ICE anymore. That's a fake name. What they are now is Trump's personal goon squad. And they're going to go after people that he tells them to. Anyone that doesn't agree with him, he's going to go sick them on you, okay? That's what he's doing now. And nobody is immune. Everybody's up for grabs, okay? And, yeah, Hakeem Jeffries is right to say that's crossing a red line. But Hakeem Jeffries doesn't seem to really push on doing anything about it. That's the problem with Hakeem. He sees the problem, but he doesn't do anything in response to it. And that's what we expect of him, okay? But he hasn't really been there. He knows what to say and about what to say it, but he just doesn't seem to be that invested in really trying to do a thing, okay? However, you got AOC and Bernie Sanders out there, taking it to the people, taking it to the streets, okay? They're doing more than Hakeem Jeffries. But it would be nice if all of the Democrats would get out there and take the time to brush up the fucking grassroots, to get them people motivated. Okay, because what we need is momentum created to roll Trump out of the White House. Get him out of there. We have to make it that way. And the red states right now would probably easy to get people to support that, because they're going to be hurting the most out of all the states in the United States. The red states are going to suffer the most, while these red state governors try to knuckle down and oppress their own citizens in their states even harder than Trump. Okay, that's only going to make things worse for them, because that's only going to encourage more people to turn against Trump. And one of these things that that's going to piss off a lot of Republican MAGA, whatever, is what Trump has done to the tornado victims in Kentucky. It's been days since deadly tornadoes ravaged 3 states, killing 28 people and leaving countless homes and businesses destroyed in their wake, with no acknowledgement from Donald Trump. He may not be coming at all, judging from how Trump blocked tornado victims in Arkansas from receiving federal recovery aid last month and rejected the state's disaster declaration. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear is refusing to wait for federal help that may never come and is taking matters into his own hands, launching a crowdfunding effort to help get storm victims the relief they desperately need. So, again, another situation where the CEO of America is not doing his job. You know, how many examples do we need to see or get thrown at, you know, to say this guy's got to be voted out, we need an emergency election or something. I know we don't have such a thing in this country, but I think now is the time we ought to consider making one. We need to add a law that the people have a right to voice a concern, to save its country before it gets worse by having an emergency election. To say that Trump or whoever the president may be is, you know, unqualified. Okay? He abandoned his duty to the country. He's in it for himself. Okay? We have enough mountain of evidence to prove that. Okay? Okay, he's getting bribes from countries here, which is illegal. Okay, he's helping out a goddamn enemy nation. He's got us focused on ridiculous conflicts with our own allies. He's attacking other countries. Oh, I want to make that a state. Okay, you know, he's doing everything but running the country. At a time when America needs its leadership the most, he's not there. So, he abandoned his duties as president. So, hey, time to vote him out and get somebody else in. All right? That's what we do. If we want to turn America into a business that, you know, as the way Donald Trump wants to run it, then as a business, we have a right to vote him out. Because we're all invested in this country. Every one of us that's walking around with coins and dollars printed out of our treasury, we're all invested in America. Whether you like it or not, we all have a stake in it. So, it's time for people to rise up and say we need to have emergency elections in case of people like that, just to stop a bad situation from getting worse. No confidence in Donald Trump, okay? We need to either get him out so we can put in the vice president or whoever, okay, speaker. Just get him out. Get him out of there so we can replace him with somebody else. And now the DOJ floats the idea of quote-unquote criminal charges for Jill Biden after Joe has been diagnosed with cancer. Now is clearly the time to put politics aside and wish Biden a swift and complete recovery. But who are we kidding? Ratchet up the conspiracy theory generator and burn Joe's evil witch doctor of a wife at the stake. She has a doctorate, for Christ's sake. She obviously knew. I mean, that's what Trump is talking about. You know, everyone expected Trump to kick Biden while he was down. Okay, the guy's got no fucking class. He's got no class. He is a white trash piece of shit with a lot of money. You take all that money away, he's nothing but, you know, the guy living in a garbage dump, you know, someplace. Okay, he's really low class, low brow. But, you know, the guy that he can't stand because he was beaten by Biden in an election, he's going to hate that man till the day he dies. And he's probably clapping and cheering that Biden's got cancer. You know, and while the guy's fighting cancer, let's think about going after his wife. Okay, you know, maybe when he says something and people think, oh, he's joking. I really don't think he's joking. I really think he's entertaining the idea, and he's looking to see if he can make it happen. You know, I really think that, because this guy hasn't had enough. You know, with beating down Biden, he ain't had enough of it. He still wants to kick this fucking guy around. You know, and it's like, you know, any man who would stoop so low as to attack somebody while they're, you know, dealing with cancer and attack his family, okay, that guy, that son of a bitch don't deserve to be a dog catcher. Okay, he's heartless, he's a criminal. Yeah, he is a criminal. Many times over, he's a criminal. He should be sitting in prison, not in the White House. In a perfect world, that's where he would be today. He would be sitting in prison for his crimes. He'd be wearing an orange jumpsuit. That's what he should be wearing. Of course, you wouldn't be able to see his face. It's orange and orange. But, you know, that's where he should be. Now, this other little heads up here. The UN warns that 14,000 babies could die in Gaza in the next 48 hours without aid. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his 11-week aid blockade on food and aid deliveries to civilians in Gaza has pushed the decimated enclave to the brink of a full-blown starvation crisis. UN officials are loudly warning that up to 14,000 babies could die in the next few days if aid deliveries do not drastically increase immediately. Tom Fletcher, the Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator at the UN, said 5 trucks of aid went into Gaza yesterday, but described this as a drop in the ocean and totally inadequate for the population's needs. Asked how the UN arrived at this figure, Fletcher responded, quote, "We have strong teams on the ground, and of course, many of them have been killed. We still have lots of people on the ground. They're at the medical centers, they're at the schools, trying to assess needs," unquote. Israel's continued bombardment and occupation of Gaza, it must once again be stated, has the full financial and military backing of the United States. Makes us feel like we're great to be American, huh? I'm sorry, but killing babies, I don't care who it is, even if it was Al-Qaeda and they had babies, that's wrong. That's fucking wrong. And Netanyahu, you know this, there's children there. What do you think blowing up babies and killing kids is going to do? It's only going to fuel another generation of goddamn fights. This is the reason why you can't have peace in the Middle East over there, okay? Because they fight these wars where no holds barred, okay? Kids are just as easy to kill, you know, hey, you see a kid, shoot him dead. That kind of goddamn heartless crap is what guts every goddamn peace treaty that's ever been tried to be made in that part of the world, okay? You never can win hearts and minds by being cold-hearted that way. But that's the way these things are fought over there. This is what Americans don't understand about that area. Sure, it's easy to take one side or the other, but there is no good side. Okay? There is no good side. But now, where the Israels have the upper hand, where Israel has the upper hand over Gaza, now they can show a little mercy. Are they? No. They want to see everybody die. So who at the end of the day is really the villain here? Think about that. You know? Yeah, I realize there are hundreds of fucking, I mean, there's, you know, angst to go back for generations. I get that. But at some point, somebody has to put away the gun and make a fucking stand to end this shit. Somebody has to drop their fucking gun and say enough is enough. Okay? We've done enough damage. Okay, we need to stop this. When does that realization ever come across these people's minds over there on either side? And now that one side is on their knees, Israel is going to kick them while they're down. Just like Trump is kicking Biden while he's down. Okay? You could see how Trump and Netanyahu share some commonalities here, can't you? You know? But people today getting all pissed off about, you know, somebody criticizing Israel right now for what it's doing. Okay, people getting angry about why? Why are you getting angry about that? For the same reason you're trying to say, oh well, people in Israel have been beaten and, you know, mistreated by Palestinians. Okay, so has the other side. I mean, if it's bad for one side, then why is it good for the other side to do those same practices? Okay. You cannot stand on one side and excuse it for the other. I'm sorry. It's if one side's doing it and the other side's doing it, they're both wrong. Okay? But here is a moment in time where somebody could make a step. and extend an olive branch to try and put a stop to the fucking slaughter here, to save those kids that are over there. They could do something about that. Right now is the time. But Netanyahu ain't the kind of guy that's going to do that. He's the wrong person at the wrong time in history. He could lead his country into a better way, but he ain't going to do it. He's clouded by his own self-interest, just the way Trump is. We got selfish people running the world these days, and look what it's doing to us all. It's killing us all. On all corners of the world. Okay, people are suffering because of selfish assholes running the world. Okay, we're all suffering. And it's really arrogant of us to support that, you know, no matter who it is, you know, to say, yeah, they ought to keep doing it. Yeah, okay, sure, let's keep doing it and keep making us suffer all the more. How much, I mean, how logical is that? There is no logic to it. Okay, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. Okay, Jesus Christ. At some point, somebody has got to take a stand for peace here. And now is the time to do it, and I'm afraid that it's not going to happen. Okay, this is only going to spark responses from other countries, like Iran maybe. I don't know. But things are only going to escalate because of this. You know it, and I know it. Okay, and at the end of the day, the Israel people are going to get slaughtered again because of their selfishness. Because they could not stop Netanyahu. They would not oppose him. Or at least they didn't oppose him hard enough, okay? I mean, I know what at first they did when it first started, but they, you know, all of a sudden now they're all about saving their necks because they've gotten themselves into this big fucking quagmire and they want it out. And so they ain't got time to oppose Netanyahu. They're trying to save their own necks. So now here we are. And the retaliation could come in the form of, you know, missile strikes into Israel from Iran, or more terrorist activity into Israel from Iran or Hamas or whatever whatever they are now. Okay, they could get hit more. They're probably gearing up for it right now as we speak. Okay. And this will totally be Israel's fault because they have this moment right now to stop this and show some mercy. Okay, that could draw back at least some incentive on the other side to want to retaliate against Israel. But no, they ain't going to do it. He won't do it. They won't do it. You know, what can I say? In the meantime, the United States is shooting to become the poorest nation on the planet by 2100. So here we are. The world is changing. Didn't need to change this way. None of this stuff had to happen, you know. It was all done purposefully by people making bad choices. All right. That's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. So subscribe, comment, share. Keep your ears open for any health-related issues. And please help each other out there because times are going to get very dicey and very, threatening in some places, but keep your eyes open for things, you know, and watch yourself. So take care, everybody.